Kenya is working closely with all the affected and neighboring countries, regional institutions, international partners, because Ebola is not a national problem. It's a regional, it's a global security, it's a global public health security threat. The ministry is engaging in cross-border coordination with our sister country, Uganda, with a particular focus on sharing surveillance information, traveler screening, case notification, contact tracing, laboratory referral, and rapid response readiness. Kenya is coordinating, and we have held meetings at the highest level with the World Health Organization, with the Africa CDC, with the IGAD, with the EACC, with the International Organization for Migration, with the US Center for Disease Control, all these at ministerial level, and with other development partners. This cooperation is focused on surveillance, on laboratory support, on simulation exercise, on technical guidance, training, risk communication, logistics, and partner resource mobilization. And I wish to emphasize, Honorable Speaker, that international cooperation does not mean surrender of our national authority and sovereignty. All public health decisions within Kenya remain under the authority of the government of Kenya. International partners provide technical assistance, commodities, financing, training, and logistical support. Regarding the recent media reports alleging that Kenya has entered into an agreement with the United States of government to establish a quarantine facility for US citizens or foreign nationals, I wish to state it clearly that Kenya and the US government signed an agreement on cooperation in threat reduction, biological and infectious diseases engagement program on the 24th July 2015 during the state visit of our President and President Barack Obama. President Uhuru and President Barack Obama. The agreements were therefore approved by the cabinet then in April of 2016 and subsequently introduced in this House in Parliament, laid on the table of the House on the 19th of July 2016. Upon undergoing parliamentary procedures and public participation and the House process, the House approved the ratification of the agreement on the 9th of February 2017. This agreement subsequently entered into force on 6th of April 2017 and has a validity of 5 years. And Honorable Speaker, the renewing of this cooperation was again signed and came into force on the 5th of April 2022, which the annex I have provided. The extended agreement has a validity period of 7 years and is valid to the 5th of April 2029. Further, on the 4th of December 2025, we again signed a cooperation agreement with the United States of government to strengthen Kenyan healthcare system on our different areas, including digital health, including HIV/AIDS, TB, and malaria. Over the last 23 years, Honorable Speaker, the government and the people of the United States, through the US government health program, has provided close to $8 billion, equivalent to slightly over 1 trillion Kenya shillings in support of the Kenyan health sector. This investment has significantly strengthened our national response to HIV, TB, malaria, maternal newborn, and global health security. The government of Kenya deeply appreciates this long-standing partnership and remains committed to ensuring that the gains made are sustained through the increased domestic investment, strength institutions, and successful implementation of the Kenya-US Health Cooperation Framework, which provides a pathway towards greater country ownership and sustainability of our health program. Honorable Speaker, the proposed Ebola treatment and isolation unit at Laikipia Air Base is part of the 23 similar units to be established in the country as part of our preparedness and response. This facility will jointly be run by the government of Kenya and the US government under the command of the Air Force Commander, the base commander, and the entire medical team of the Kenya Defense Forces, working together with the Ministry of Health. This proposed facility reaffirms Kenya's position as a medical hub in the East Africa region with the capacity to offer specialized care for complex infectious diseases like Ebola. I must also inform the House that aspects of the matter relating to the alleged international health agreements and containment arrangements are now before court. Accordingly, and in keeping with the doctrine of sub judice and standing orders of this House, I will avoid discussing the merits of any active litigation. But I will, however, continue to provide this House with the government's public health position and preparedness status. Honorable Speaker, you also asked about the establishment and accessibility of the Ebola disease control and isolation centers. Honorable Speaker, the House asked whether Ebola disease control and isolation centers have been established in the country. And I want to say this. I hasten to add that there is a significant presence of Kenyans in the affected regions of both DRC and Uganda. Many Kenyans work in Uganda and do business both in Uganda and DRC. And two of our leading banks, KCB and Equity, employ Kenyans who live in that region. In addition, Kenya has approximately 450 specialized KDF officers and servicemen who are in DRC under the MONUSCO peacekeeping mission. Any of these Kenyans could be exposed and could require a quarantine and isolation facility back home in Kenya. The government has established undesignated isolation and treatment capacity as part of our national preparedness. These include, I said, our national referral facilities, our county designated sites, temporary holding areas for points of entry, county isolation facilities. These facilities are being progressively verified for quality, for safety, and for readiness. And I want to reiterate that all such facilities are established for the protection of the people of Kenya and all persons within the Kenyan borders. They are not only foreign facilities, they are not for foreign facilities, they are not exclusive facilities, they are not facilities reserved for any nationality, they are public health assets established and coordinated under the authority of the government of Kenya. In the event of a suspected case, the response will be guided by medical triage, exposure risk, clinical need, and public health protocols. A Kenyan citizen, a foreign national, a refugee, a diplomat, an expatriate, or a traveler will be managed according to the same public health principles: safe isolation, testing, clinical care, contact tracing, prevention of further transmission. Our objective as government is to protect communities, to protect healthcare workers, and the country. When a case is detected, the safest place to manage it is within a properly equipped isolation and treatment facility under the controlled conditions. Finally, Honorable Speaker, you have told me to give guidance on the public health guidance. Honorable Speaker, any person who develops fever, headache, vomiting, diarrhea after recent travel to the affected areas or one of their community members after contact with a suspected case should seek medical attention immediately and report through the 719 public health hotline. Honorable Speaker, our readiness assessment gaps and resource requirements are all provided in this document, and I think I have provided the agreements, the documents, but just to conclude so that I take questions from members, Honorable Speaker and members, it's very important, you play a very important role in the public health protection of our country. Misinformation during disease outbreaks can cause panic, can cause stigma, can delay health seeking and resistance to public health measures. I therefore request members of this House to support the Ministry of Health by amplifying accurate information, encouraging early health seeking behavior, supporting screening at border points of entry, and urging the public to use the official 719 hotline. Honorable Speaker, I want to repeat for emphasis, Kenya has no confirmed case of Ebola virus disease. Our surveillance systems are active. Our laboratories are functional. Our points of entry are screening travelers. Our rapid response teams are on standby. Our health workers are being trained. Our isolation facilities are being verified and strengthened. And the government of Kenya remains fully in control of the preparedness and the response architecture. Our approach is guided by science, the law, the national interest, the public health protection, and the international obligation that as a country we have. We will continue to act transparently. We will continue to act decisively. We will continue to respond responsibly in order to protect Kenyans and all persons within our borders. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I'm ready to respond to any questions from the honorable members.
Thank you, Honorable Duale. Sarah Korere.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, we've had a very elaborative explanation from the Cabinet Secretary. And Speaker, coming from Laikipia, we have a lot of reservations and especially concerns from the people we lead because we are representatives of the people. Speaker, it is clear that this Ebola is rare and fatal disease. And common sense will dictate that if this disease starts in a particular place, it will be natural that you just contain it where it has started. I want to ask the Cabinet Secretary. He has said that the government of Kenya and the government of the US signed an agreement way back in 2015. And in 2019, there was Corona, which was a global problem. We didn't see the US come out, the way they have come out now, to construct a Corona isolation center or a center to help the Corona people who are infected by Corona in Laikipia or anywhere in this country. And if they have, probably the Cabinet Secretary can tell us. About this Ebola thing, I want to ask the Cabinet Secretary. You know, it's very unfortunate that we saw a US Secretary of State in Washington declaring that they will not allow even one single case of a corona-infected US citizen, I mean Ebola, set foot in America. So if they're infected in Congo, they will not take them to treat them in America. they will not treat them in Congo, they will bring them to Laikipia. And you know, members, allow me to say this. You know, the people of Laikipia, we have never healed from the aftermath of colonization. We still feel that even today we are still being colonized, because half of our land went to the British colonizers, and it later on went to their citizens, and we have never regained a single inch of the ranches they took from us. And now, they want to bring corona. And you know, I mean Ebola. And you know, I'm just saying because I represent people who are concerned that if Americans are to be flown to Laikipia Air Base to be treated there, what happens if this disease, God forbid, you know, leaks out and probably people around Nanyuki are infected by Ebola? Will the American government take charge and treat the Kenyan citizens the way they would like to treat the American citizens? That is one.
You've made your point. There are many interests.